And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another installment of the Mecca of Banter podcast. The podcast where we hop on here, talk a bit of banter. Our local team, our Prem teams in this summer will be our World Cup teams as well. So happy to have you all here. It's your boy Hen. Haven't been on a pod in a minute. That life thing, being a dad, being a student, being an employee, is just a lot going on. But I'm happy to be here. Hoov, how you doing today, bro?
I'm good, man. Maybe that's why I'm on a lot more than you are, is because I am not a dad. I'm not in school. I pretty much just work and play some footy when I can. But I'm good, man. Doing well. There's been a lot of discourse out there.
So
I
much.
have full blown World Cup fever. Like, it's genuinely all I can think about leading up to the game on Thursday. I'm excited to watch Mexico, South Africa. Like,
Yeah, totally.
that game provided one of the more electric moments in my lifetime of football at a previous World Cup, and it was the opener. Like, what's there to not be excited about, dude?
It's pretty crazy to like actually say that it was one of the more electric moments of our football career and mean it.
Yeah,
Everyone kind of remembers exactly where they were when they saw that goal go in. 2010 World Cup home opener. It was just an amazing moment. I'm hopeful that we're gonna have some more moments like that this summer.
dude, we're like football unks now. Like,
Yeah.
we've seen more World Cups than anyone younger than us, and I
Well
lived
said.
the same heartbreak and excitement pretty much every time. But now I'm adult. I got adult money. I can go drink at bars with my friends and watch the game, and that's the coolest thing ever. So
I love
pumped.
it. I love it. Well, we're happy to have you here now. There's a thing that happened today, yesterday. I'm not sure on
Yeah,
the
this
Twitter.
morning.
For those of you that have been around for a minute, like the Mecca of Banter, we've been around for 6 years now. COVID is where we really started like creating the podcast. 2019, actually, like before the World Cup, or before COVID is where we started. We've been doing this for a minute. And we've been like, creating our listeners and having our engagements in St. Louis. Like when we got the St. Louis MLS team, like that's where we started popping off a little bit here locally. And this morning, Andy Hoover on the Twitter account posts a little post. What was the inspiration behind it, Hoov? And talk to us about it.
I'm chronically on Twitter, like
Yes.
to the point where it's probably an issue. Like, I should probably tone it back today. And honestly, I thought about it this morning, and then I tweeted something that ended up just kind of going a little bit viral in our world, very viral. So
Yes.
a lot of discourse on Twitter about Americans holding the World Cup. And I think there's a lot to be said for the political climate and what we're looking at in terms of not just the United States, but FIFA as well. And I think a lot of people are just co-signing FIFA and the United States, for a lot of these issues. And they are issues. And there's something that we've talked about in the past, and ticket pricing and who, how we go about getting this all together and, yada, yada, yada. But my favorite thing about the World Cup, which has happened in every other World Cup in history as well, is watching people from foreign countries go to those countries and everyone just have a really good time about football.
Yeah.
And
Experience the culture. Yeah.
that's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. I've spent a night of my trip to Costa Rica with my fiance watching lads just play on a pitch in floodlights in the middle of nowhere. Like, that's just what it's about. And a lot of people on Twitter, Euro and American bashing each other for their sports culture, their sports culture. I just like seeing people that come to the States and have a good time. And I love to live that experience through their eyes. And no better time. No better time than right now. And, these Geordies are down in Houston at the international, at the space station in Houston, shirtless with their, English flags. Like, I'm in. He's having a
So
really
dope.
good time, dude.
Yeah.
The Scots are coming over in droves. It's their first World Cup in how long?
Forever. Yeah. Forever.
Like, for forever. They're having the most fun. I'm watching videos of guys, play bagpipes in the streets of Boston in kilts. Yes, that is what we need. And I think that was part of the sentiment, is that, if you come over and want to have a good time in the States, the Americans will treat you well. I just liked that connection. So I tweeted the we're turning our account into just watching your foreign fans come to the United States. There's this girl in Switzerland that just tried ranch. She's like, what is this? Why don't we have this? Not Switzerland, Sweden. I apologize. Hilarious. And in a diner, like just the what was his name? The kid that went
Freddie?
to Freddie. He started this whole thing, dude.
Movement,
He's just
yeah.
traveling. He's floating the Chattahoochee River. He's going to Atlanta Waffle Houses at 1 a.m., which is the time and place to have a truly American Waffle House experience. Like that, it's unbelievable. Like those things have gotten me so excited. Yeah, so I posted it, and we went from 300 something followers this morning to we hit like 2,000 right before this podcast, and that one tweet did really well, and everybody felt the same. That's the thing. All the normal folks and folks that aren't, obsessed with Twitter and online and all that stuff, everyone's like, yeah, I hope everyone comes over and has a great time. I want to see that too. So I think that was really the sentiment of it all. I didn't really mean it to be that deep either. It was just like, yeah, I love watching these guys have fun.
But, we're happy to have you all here. So it's funny now, several years into doing this podcast, I feel like it's proper to almost reintroduce ourselves a little bit. Now, we're missing 4 guys from the pod. Our group was born out of a group chat that we've had inside of St. Louis, Missouri, forever. Right now it's about 40 guys deep, where all we do all day long is talk footy, mostly Premier League. We also talk MLS, Champions League, etc. People representing fandoms of all different teams, all different backgrounds. And we've been having this group chat well over 10 years now. And several years ago, we decided, maybe we should just put a microphone in front of our faces and start recording some of these conversations. And it's kind of crazy to look back and say, we've now covered Euro tournaments, we've covered Copa Americas, we've covered, now this will be our second full-fledged World Cup that we've covered. It's kind of crazy to see how this has grown. But there's 6 of us that are on here regularly, myself being one of them. Henry, former soccer player, myself, center back, love a good defensive play, where you see some contribution from me from on Twitter as well as on the podcast, man. Tactical awareness and defensive breakdowns is my shit. And I'm a diehard Manchester United fan, been a Manchester United fan for as long as I can remember. And then other fun fact is I'm really deep and ingrained into the jersey culture. I've collected jerseys, soccer jerseys specifically, since I was in middle school. I'm 31 now, so that's 20 years of collecting. And it's fun around these big tournaments to kind of break out some of the collection and kind of show people what it's about. And I love doing that. And so I mentioned that we live in St. Louis, and so St. Louis City SC is our MLS team that we support. But yeah, center back through and through, love defense. And big thing too is we also really believe in promoting playing footy here in St. Louis. And so we work with organizations like Street FC, bringing local pickup to the streets of St. Louis and trying to provide access and moments of just playing the game more. So as we get later in the year, when it's not so fucking hot in St. Louis, we'll have much more pop-ups and events with Street FC and other brands. So it's a little bit about me. Hoov, if you want to give the lads and the laddises the breakdown on you.
Yeah, I didn't introduce myself, by the way. I'm Andy Hoover. I've been in St. Louis, same. Henry and I went to high school together a few years apart. Played a few years also at wingback through high school, and then I was a college intramural 6-time champion. So
Come on.
I mean, big deal. Didn't go anywhere to play school, but or to play, big time ball, but have kept playing. And I've told this to Henry and I was in a few of the other guys that we talked to, that I'm comfortably the best I've ever been at the sport, right now at 29. So
awesome.
Where I hit David. Someone I just heard recently is yeah, it's crazy. He's he's got 3 years left of his prime in La Liga, and it was because he was 30. Damn, that's tough, but
crazy to think about.
Yeah, and I've just been obsessed with it for a really long time as well. I have been a Spurs fan for, call it 12, 13 years. Grew up not really on a team because I didn't really know that's what was supposed to happen, but the games that we got were Wayne Rooney playing for Manchester United on free broadcasts in the States. So I was watching Ronaldo and you guys, and I totally understand why you're a United fan, because you got the glory years towards the end and all that. But yeah, related something to Tottenham for sure. I had some similarities with our local baseball team, which I won't get into because that's weird. But Clint Dempsey is probably one of my favorite players of all time, if not my favorite player of all time. And he made a major move from Fulham to Tottenham when I was younger, and I kind of just liked watching Clint. And he started playing with this young kid who had elephant ears playing left back named Gareth Bale, and unfortunately it was signed, sealed, delivered. So I stopped then, and I just watched him play for a long time. I know the rules. You don't leave it. You don't change teams. You get sucked in, you buy in, you make your own. As an American, you make your own, full-blown clause as to why, and then that's it. So, yeah, I love it. I talk about it way too much. I don't make money on soccer. I've never made money on soccer. I've never played at a high competitive level. Like, this is all I want to do. So, we've subscribed to the podcast and, all got day jobs. But this is the passion, I'd say.
Yeah, it's what we love, man. It's something that we're super passionate about, and we're not just the guys that are like watching European footy and just talking about it on the weekends. Like, we support our local, and we're there, and we also like in the St. Louis area, we also pride ourselves in like knowing ball. Like,
Yeah,
we're
for
one
sure.
degree of separation from even guys like Clint Dempsey. We could make one phone call and just immediately be connected with him now, but like, we definitely don't sugarcoat things. And so if we see something that we don't like or we don't agree with, we're going to let you know.
Oh yeah, title of the podcast is Mecca of Banter, folks.
There's a reason for that.
The running joke is it is not the Mecca of hugs and kisses, which
Correct.
is kind of our standpoint. But yeah, we're honest,
Yeah.
And sometimes we're wrong. We're just talking heads behind a Zoom call, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. And, there's 4 other guys on this pod. There's Dobes, there's Butch, there's Winks, and then there's Nick. And between the 4 of them, there's another United fan. There's an Arsenal fan, a Chelsea fan, and a Liverpool fan. So it's just kind of a unique perspective every week that we hop on here. We record every Monday, every Tuesday, and it's out the next day. So, it's always a fun conversation. It's a little bit about us. We'll dive more into it throughout the summer as we talk with more of you. If this is your first time listening, thank you so much for being here, and would really appreciate a like and subscribe on anywhere that you get your podcasts, YouTube as well. Interact with us on the social medias. Obviously, Twitter's popping right now, and we'll continue there. But same thing with on TikTok and Instagram and things of that nature. But let's go ahead and dive into the World Cup. Obviously, we are at time of recording, we're 2 nights away from playing. The first game will kick off in 48 hours, as you mentioned, with Mexico. But let's dive into the United States. Obviously, that is going to be our team, with it being the country that we live in. There's been mixed, I guess, like, for lack of better words, there's been mixed results during Pochettino's reign of the United States men's national team. There's been some really good moments. There's been some really bad moments. There's been some weird selections in camp, but we're finally nailed down our final roster for the tournament, barring any type of injury or anything like that. But I guess going into this tournament, how are you feeling about the United States chances, the group that we're involved in, and just where are you before a ball is kicked?
A whole lot better than I was 2 weeks ago. I think they scheduled 2 really smart friendlies as the tune-up games before they inevitably went to Los Angeles, and Senegal's a good team. Like,
Yes.
there's things that I know about this team that will happen. We will make boneheaded defensive mistakes. That's something that kind of has just always happened with this team. And the 2 games that we played, I think, exemplified that. Definitely put that to the forefront. I do think they were tune-up games and they were friendlies, and we had 2 totally different sets of 11 on the first game against Senegal. The positives I picked up were that it's the most fluid and competent that we've ever looked pushing the ball forward.
100% agree. Yes.
That has never clicked. Like, early in Pochettino's reign was get the ball to Christian, someone support him, maybe there's a whipped ball in, maybe there was intention and direction with how they played on both sets of friendlies. I think we saw a more stout German defense, as one would, but we're not played off the park by any means. We belonged in that battle, and Anthony Robinson has scored maybe one of the greatest goals I've ever seen an American score, so that was sick.
Yes.
But
yes. I think one of the things that like stood out for me though is that, like, you mentioned like free flowing going forward, and it was the lack of emphasis on Christian Pulisic, ironically, even though he was on the score sheet, both goals and assists. But it felt like the US had their 9, like the involvement with the 9 that we wanted, whether it was Pepe or it was Balogun. Both of them did great. Both of them had great link up play. Both of them drifted wide. Both of them like held like strong through the middle. And like, how many times have we been screaming out for a nine throughout like this entire, the last 10 years, like ever since Clint really left? It's like,
Seriously.
who
Yeah.
is the nine even? And so I was really encouraged by that. And then the other thing that I just found to be fascinating is, if you've listened to us for a long time, I hate playing a three back system. I've always hated it. It's like, it just sucks for the most part. And
Yeah.
it's really interesting. And I think the only thing that makes a three back system tolerable is when you have wing backs who can do the job. And it just so happens that we have wing backs that can do the job. We have Anthony Robinson on one side. We have Dest on the other side. That's a winger / wing back. We don't really know. But then,
We've got Weah and Scally,
yeah,
who are both completely competent and good in the same capacity in their own ways.
yeah. And then even behind, like, I've been really impressed with Alex Freeman as well. So like, if Alex Freeman is going to hold down that right-sided center back in a back three, then you get Chris Richards in there, obviously, once he's at 100% fitness. To be honest with you, like, there's still a little bit of questions marks about who's that third center back. And I know that Tim Ream is the captain, and I know that is, you would assume that he would be kind of that presence, but he is a liability just from the speed perspective. And what's interesting is, during the broadcast of the last game against Germany, they were pretty adamant that like Pochettino had come out and said, like, whether Tim plays or not, he's still the captain of this team, which would imply that like perhaps
He
he's
might
thinking
not.
about a world where he may not play.
Right.
With that being said, who's going to be the third center back? I'm not sure. Chris Richards is a lock, but Miles Robinson very clearly can't do that job. He was at fault for a lot of defensive mistakes, and that's what worries me a little bit, that we just may not be as deep at the center back position. I would like to see Austin Trusty, see what he has in the tank. I think that there's a world where it could be a Trusty, Richards, and Alex Freeman back three, and we'll see how it goes. But I think one of the other things that is going to be interesting is, I think so much of what we in previous U.S. men's national team players have like cried out for is the fight inside of this current bunch. And I know that it's only 2 games, so it's small sample size, but at least the games against Senegal and the game against Germany, whole lot of fight in that team. There was a lot of fouls. There was a lot of retaliation fouls, and it's not all about physicality, but it's certainly about giving it back as someone gives it to you. So like, I think that's something that stood out to me a lot, where there was little to no time wasted in between exchanging blows. Germany went in a couple times on really, really hard tackles, and it didn't faze us whatsoever. I love seeing that. Yeah, I love seeing
Timmy
it.
turned around and he fired him up at the end of that Germany game.
Yeah, I love it. I just love seeing it. And what was cool was, like, you're used to, I think for me, like, the two on-field leaders from like a physicality standpoint is always going to be Tyler Adams and Chris Richards, for me, like, bring that, that dog energy. But they weren't the only guys that you saw that for. Obviously, Chris Richards didn't play, but Tyler was putting in tackles right and left. But then you saw guys even like Sebastian Berhalter step up and put in a challenge on someone. Like,
Wes.
yeah, 100%. There are guys that are really fighting for the badge, metaphorically, and I think I love to see that. I guess I'm curious for you, Hoov, like, if you look at kind of, we make it a deep run in this, who do you think is going to be that player for the United States that it's really going to center around? Like, who is most important in that team?
I think back to the physicality point, like, we as a nation, the best teams we've had, the most success we've had in my lifetime at a World Cup were those dogs. It was just guys that wanted it. And that's a huge piece that we kind of lacked, I think, for a long time. And if you've listened to this again, seriously, I hit this every week, but like, it's so important to me. And then finally, I heard Weston McKennie say something in an interview this week that was almost word for word that. He's like, those guys back in the day, they just had a grit. And he's like, that's what we have to bring. He's like, I don't want people to F with us. Like, that's what it's about. So I think, in terms of your question on who's going to be the guy, there's a lot of easy answers, and frankly, I might just cop out with one of them. But like, Tyler Adams was the captain of the World Cup last time we were there, and he was what, 21, 22? I think everything that he's learned in the Premier League and what he's done in the growth he's had, like, he was a dog back then too. Don't get me wrong, but dude, you said the other day, like, he was pinging a little bit too. Like, he's upped his game as more complete, but still that that, defensive first lay a body tackle, six. He's going to be that outfield captain no matter whether or not he's wearing the band. And I think, we've gone through Christian's going to be the most important, or even Chris Richards too. I think Chris Richards coming off an injury isn't great, but I think he's going to leave it all out there no matter what. But being in the middle and being able to be the guy that gets the lick back, that's always been Tyler. And I think that's just going to be huge in any capacity. But the rest of the team, there's pieces in there that you kind of not 100% sure who's going to be there when, you know what I mean?
Yeah, my easy answer is Tyler as well for all the reasons that you mentioned. And I also, foreshadowing a little bit later, we're going to talk about the breakout player who's going to earn a big money move. He's not my answer for that, but I think he's very high on the list of, depending on how he performs at this World Cup, I wouldn't be surprised if a big six club in the Prem or in other leagues across the world are really sniffing him out away from Bournemouth. He is just that classic six that just wants to win the ball back. He's a dog in the middle of the field. Tyler's my answer. And then, I just, there's something about the way that he plays that's so different than the rest of the team. I think Serginho Dest is going to be one of the most important players that we have. Yeah. He just is one of those enigmas almost, where no matter where you put him on the field, he's just going to stand out, and he offers something, so different than everyone else. And so I think that he's going to surprise a lot of people in not only where he plays on the field, but his performances when he does so. And so I think that that's going to be a really important one. I do worry a little bit about the goalkeeping.
Yeah, I think, we think it's going to be Matt Freese?
I assume. I don't know though, bro. It's so interesting. I think it was Taylor Twellman I saw say this. This is the first, big tournament since, that he can remember where we don't know our number one. We don't actually know who that is, which is never a good sign when you don't know and you don't have that trust from behind. My guess is Pochettino is going to make his choice and stick with it throughout the entire tournament. He doesn't strike me as someone who's going to change it up a bunch, but you never know.
Unless called for. Yeah.
Yeah. You just never know. But I can't wait. I think Malik Tillman's going to be a really interesting player to watch. Tillman.
I want him to be the guy.
Yes.
I think technical wise, he and Balogun are the most technical players that we have. And the things that he can do when he can do them are different from what a lot of the other team is going to give you. So
yes.
I want him to be the guy so badly. I think it would be huge. That's kind of a role that, that little float underneath attacking midfielder that we haven't had since 20-year-old Gio Reyna,
Yeah, which Gio Reyna, we'll see. Really interesting addition to the team, but we'll see. But I want to take us through, Hoov. I want to go through each group one by one and talk through high level, just kind of what we're thinking now. We're not going to go into a super big technical analysis around every single group. We don't have the time to do that today. And throughout the World Cup, don't worry, we'll be here plenty of times giving our analysis, a little analysis on the champagne football that we hope to see throughout this tournament.
Hey, slip that in there.
Slip that. Okay. But we're just going to go through. So starting off with Group A is going to be the first group that we get a kickoff on Thursday. So it's Mexico, South Africa, South Korea, and Czechia. Yeah.
Come, you Euro folks can come at us. It's okay.
Yeah, for all the pronunciations.
We can handle the banter as long as you can take it.
For me, I feel like two teams are at the top of this one. I'm really excited to watch South Korea. Not just for Sonny, but we have a local lad, Song Bin, that is it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Song Bin is in the.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. Is he not?
I don't know if he is.
Well, we'll redact that from the transcript.
Hold on. I'm pulling it up.
Oh, you know what this might be? I might have just, what is it? Remember those Apple announcers for the last 3 St. Louis City games that were just consistently saying the wrong things, saying the Fall Brothers or whatever? I think that's where I heard that. But
okay, fair.
Yeah, Mexico for me, I don't feel like they're gonna let it slip by on their home soil. Mexico, Canada, and the United States are the 3 hosts of this tournament, so I don't think that Mexico gets grouped by any means. But I have a hard time believing that South Africa or Czechia is gonna rise to the challenge and advance in the top 2. But that's just me.
Yeah, there's a lot of people online that are really giving Mexico a dark horse title. Their home country. I think in terms of overall quality, their team's pretty good. They're not the Mexico of old, I don't think, but they're the best team I think in this group comfortably. So they could make it out and have some momentum.
Yeah, there's like a 17-year-old kid, I forgot his name, from Mexico, that is a dog. He played
Mm,
against us in the Copa America last year at like 16, maybe 15, and he was great then. He's being looked at as kind of like the next big thing to come out of Mexico, which will be interesting to see what happens there. Group B, Canada, Bosnia, Qatar, and Switzerland. We have a really interesting connection with Bosnia here in St. Louis. If you didn't know, St. Louis is like the Bosnia capital of the United States. So I learned this last weekend that the Bosnians pronounce it Bosna, Bosna,
Bosna?
uh, Bosna. And
Bosna.
so there's part of me that's like, that would just be electric in the city of St. Louis to see Bosna go past the group. But Jesse Marsh's Canada, could they do it?
Oh, dude.
Dude, they're such a wild card. They're like, I've seen them be really good and I've seen them
I've
be
seen them be really
really bad.
bad, dude. Yeah. Which, if you ask any previous Leeds fans or Red Bull Salzburg fans, they would probably reiterate a similar feeling.
Yeah, same exact thing. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And no matter what, Jesse Marsh is going to be talking shit because he didn't get the United States job. And I think he's
Right.
really bitter about that. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't.
Switzerland, I think well, they are the best team in this group. Here's the
Mhm.
thing about Bosnia. They did beat Italy to make the World Cup in the first place. Like, those guys can play a high risk game, and they've still got old man Adine up there
Yeah,
balling
making it
out,
happen.
bro. Eddie Nzeko's still in it. He's a set piece target. I think at the very least they're going to keep every single game close, and they're going to be a good shout for getting through maybe third place. But it's up to Canada, dude. That's my opinion.
Truly.
I don't know what they're going to look like.
Version of Canada shows up. Alfonso Davies has kind of been in and out of
Of
the
health,
Bayern lineup. Yeah, with just, yeah, different
yeah.
health related stuff. So you just never know.
Jonathan
But
David really hasn't had a very spectacular season at
no, not had a
Juventus.
great season at all.
They really needed him.
I think Group C is where we finally start to see some interest. Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, and Scotland. Now, this
This
one
is a
I think
hot
is,
group.
yeah, this one very well might be the group of death.
This is a hot
Think.
group.
I think,
I
either this one, Group I, is going to be pretty challenging, but like, I think this one for me is the group of death. So Brazil and Morocco, both of them just play some really great football. Obviously, Morocco was like the Cinderella story of last World Cup. They were
kept a
great.
lot of those guys. Yeah.
Yeah,
A
they
lot
were
of those guys
great,
are still here. Yep.
And so, we have that to look forward to. And then they're also coming off of a very, I don't know whether we call them champions or not of AFCON. I'm not really sure. I
I
don't
don't
even
know if
know if,
anyone ever actually figured that out.
yeah, I don't know if they know if they're champions of AFCON, but then you have all of the storylines with Brazil, Carlo Ancelotti. My big storyline that I'm going to be following is Neymar, in his inclusion in the World Cup squad, and how he performs. I so badly want to see him just do it one more time, like give one more moment of brilliance. It'll be a lot of people's last World Cup that they play in, but there are a few more notable than it being Neymar's last World Cup. So I'm excited to watch him. And then Scotland, obviously, you never know what Scott McTominay is going to pull out. So it's very
Yeah.
possible. And
There's some solid
Spurs,
characters around that team, bro.
yeah, Spurs legend Andy Robertson will also be on
I
that
gotta
team.
root for him. I forgot about that.
Dude, the fucking Spurs Twitter account is
That's
so shameless.
crazy.
Literally, it's like good luck to Andy Robertson in the World Cup. I was like, bro, he may not
Added
even
another
play for you.
one.
Yeah,
Added
it's so
another one to
funny.
the Spurs abroad.
Yeah, they're. I will say this: if you're
John
looking for
McGinn, Kieran Tierney. There's some players on that team, dude. Che Adams.
if you're looking for a World Cup jersey to get, and you just want like a rogue, you don't want like every single person has it. Go for the Haiti jersey. It's so sick. Like
The
the
Haiti
Haiti
jersey,
jersey,
dude.
dude. It's awesome. It's so
And
good.
this is I said this in text to the group. This is a sentence that's probably never been said in the history of English language, but Haiti balled on New Zealand the other day. Like,
Yes.
absolutely dunked on their faces over and over and over again. And I'm not saying New Zealand's anything all that special, but like, it was such a drastic difference that like Scottish folks and Moroccans were like, "Hey, that's crazy."
Like, wait a minute,
How about that?
dude. It's just a moment of brilliance for me,
They could be the spoilers, dude.
bro.
Oh, those are
That Haiti
great.
jersey,
That is a rogue hit.
disgusting. That's incredible, bro. Yeah, okay. So Group C is going to be one to watch. And finally, we get to Group D, which is our group: United States, Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey. I'm terrified of Turkey, to be honest with you.
Terrified of him.
Uh,
Absolutely terrified of him. Yep.
I
Yildiz,
Yildiz and Guler,
Arda, the
they're awesome.
nah, I don't feel good about that.
Paraguay, there's just something about South American teams that are really challenging for us. So
Yeah.
I don't feel incredibly confident against Paraguay. I certainly don't feel confident against Turkey. And Australia, I think, is like the must-win game. Like, you absolutely have to win that game. There's no tying that game. There's certainly no losing it. But there, it is encouraging as we sounded in the first 18 minutes of this podcast talking about the U.S. men's national team. There's some real competition in this group, so it
The
is not
biggest
going to
deal
be
is getting out of the group.
100%.
I think getting grouped would be worst case scenario, easily 100%, no question. I would stomach a round of 32 loss if it was against somebody good, but like, not getting out of this group is
a colossal
absolute
failure.
Worst case scenario. Yeah.
So we got to do it.
Here's what we did dodge, and again, I'm team. I want to see these guys play. I want them to be the best games they can be, even if it's against the United States. Julian Enciso not playing because he got hurt in the most recent friendly. That sucks. It completely changes their team. So
yes.
That is a win. But Miggy Almiron on home soil, with Atlanta United, I could see it. Like, there's a couple guys on that team, but I genuinely think you should get 6 points out of the group. I think a loss to Turkey is fine. I'm kind of anticipating it, to be honest. I think they top the group, if we're going to be real.
Yeah, a draw against Turkey would be a great result.
4 points, I think, gets you out of the group. In this new format, I think 4 points gets you out of the group as long as one of them's not just a ridiculously punishing goal differential loss. But you just got to get out, and that's it.
Have to.
Like that. I think you beat Australia. I think you've got to try your best to beat all the teams, clearly, but Paraguay for sure. And Turkey is going to be a tough one. If you remember, we had a friendly against them actually not all that long ago, and they beat us 4-1.
Yeah, we got fucking destroyed.
Yeah, we got Arda Guler hard.
Yeah, hard. Again, which is why I'm terrified. Absolutely terrified. This next group, Group E: Germany, Curacao, Ivory Coast, and Ecuador. Ivory Coast, I think, is going to be a really fun team to watch. Who did they just beat? They just beat France 2-1 in the friendlies. Amad Diallo, bro. Come on.
Pepe on that team.
Probably Diamande, I believe, is on that team. Diamande is going to be like one of the players to watch this tournament. A lot of speculation around him going to Liverpool is like the main rumor later after this tournament. But I don't know. I wasn't like terribly impressed with Germany. They're just a bunch of guys who are really solid, but it doesn't feel to me like they have any like breakout players. Musiala is still kind of recovering from his ankle break last year, but Curacao, I think, will be like a really fun team to watch. I think that they get demolished every single game, but fuck it.
Oh, they're gonna be so fun, dude.
They're gonna be so fun. Shout out Dan Flynn with us, Street FC. Dan Flynn is a Curacao truther. He's choosing Curacao to back.
Dude, did you see them pull up in their team bus? It was just a blue painted school bus with no windows, bumping tunes, bro. Vibes. I'm in, bro. I want those guys. I'm in. That's
awesome.
That.
I love it.
It's so good.
Group F, we have Netherlands, Japan, Sweden, and Tunisia.
Wait, quick before Group F, I think Ecuador. Ecuador's another shout.
For dark horse.
They're low key nice. I think they're low-key decent, and they could get out of that group on pure South American dream alone. And then you never know, dude. They've got some dogs. The back line's solid. I think they're pretty good, but Ivory Coast and them are the picks there. One of those teams, I think, goes through.
Yeah, you'd have to think so.
But
yeah, Group F: Netherlands, Japan, Sweden, Tunisia. I kind of think the group will finish exactly how it's laid out: Netherlands, Japan, Sweden, Tunisia. There's some speculation in the Mecca of Banter group chat that Japan might, top the group, but I don't know. Netherlands looked really solid in qualifiers. They have a lot of talent all over the pitch. I think this is Virgil van Dijk's first World Cup, so like that's funny.
Is it really?
He's almost
no.
Yeah. No.
He was in the last one.
The last one, I think, is when he Jordan Pickford destroyed his ACL. Do you remember that? The tackle that was like offsides, and then he like broke his leg, basically.
I do remember that.
Man, storylines around the Japan camp, like them moving training facilities twice already
Yeah.
because of how bad the field conditions were. It'll just be interesting. I mean, one of the storylines that we haven't even discussed in this World Cup is there's so much speculation around how the weather, how the heat, how the humidity is going to like play a factor in all of this. Obviously, we saw in the Qatar World Cup in 2022 that, they shifted all the game times to later to accommodate for, and even to the winter. I don't think people are ready for the United States summer. It's so brutal. And like, what'll be interesting is you play a game in Seattle, and what a different experience that is from playing in Dallas or playing in Chicago or whatever it is. So I think that'll be interesting, but yeah.
My Group F poll is that I don't think Graham Potter is a very good manager, and I think Sweden is not that good, and I could see them not winning a game.
Yeah, very true.
I
Gyökeres.
Dude, I mean, I think they could tank. Complete honesty, there's a world where they don't do anything, in my humble opinion. We watched a lot of friendlies this week, folks. We've been geared up. Like, we've been betting on them, maybe not hitting bets, but we've been watching them, at least for that. And Sweden was extremely disappointing. So
very much so.
Take with that what you want, but I got nothing on them.
Yeah, nothing. Let's just quickly go through the last couple of groups here. We have Group G, Belgium, Egypt, Iran, and New Zealand. Will Iran play? We don't know. I think that's, all the political stuff happening there. You'd have to imagine that Belgium tops this group. Anything less for them would be a failure.
Yeah, Iran's another one of those teams too. For like they were last year or the last World Cup when we played them. Ironically, they were dogs. Like end of the day, they're not a ton of household names on the team, but a lot of those Middle Eastern countries, bro, they get a manager and they stick to a tactical setup and system, and it works super well for Saudi Arabia at the last World Cup. And I think a lot of them take the same mindset and they just fight for their lives. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did okay. But other than that, I mean, Egypt is carried by a couple of dogs who, Mohamed Salah is still a pretty good player, and if against these teams, he's probably going to score. So
yeah, Marmoush is also going to be great in this World Cup.
He's going to have all the clock. He's not going to be under Pep's watch for this one. He's going to be the guy.
Yeah, Group H, I think, is going to be interesting just because, Spain obviously sticks out as tournament favorites. Uruguay is Uruguay. They're always good. But Saudi Arabia, there's
Bielsa is Uruguay too.
Bielsa is Uruguay.
Don't forget.
Saudi Arabia has a lot of talk on Twitter right now about them being like the most improved team since the last World Cup. And as we remember, they beat
Argentina.
They beat Argentina. Yes, they did. But, I think that there's a lot of talk about that. And so Cape Verde, unfortunately, smallest team in the tournament. I don't think you're going to progress.
Hey, here's what I do think, though. Rogue jersey shout. Those kits are sick. The Cape Verde kits are awesome, bro. At the very least, give me these guys for the vibes, bro. I'm loving it.
I mean, and we love the Uruguay home kit. You have an order of that on the way. Big believer in the Uruguay kit, but Spain is going to look good. Lamine Yamal, I hope he is at 100%. He's not trying to rush back too early from his injury, but they're going to be a team to watch. They're so solid, like top to bottom.
Yeah, they're going to be sick.
They're really good. Group I, France, Senegal, Iraq, and then Norway. France, ever heard of them?
It's a tough group, low-key.
It is a tough group. A lot of things can happen. But unfortunately, I think that Norway is also one of those, kind of like Sweden. They're just not good. Like, I mean, they have Holland, which, like, obviously you can't ever bet against Holland. But, like, I don't trust Odegaard for anything. I don't think that he's, like, that guy.
All right. Here's where this isn't even Arsenal defense, bro.
I was going to say defend the Arsenal player too.
I'm not even defending the Arsenal. I'm defending a creative midfielder underneath Arteta's terrorist tactics.
Yes,
he's not in the same role this time around. He's not going to be asked to pass sideways and backwards. He's going to be asked to thread that fucking needle to the big Viking up top. I've got them as one of my favorite kind of, subtle picks to make a little bit of a run. That was one of the futures I threw out. So yeah, that was one of my dark horses. They did really well through qualifying. They've been solid through all of their friendlies leading up. I don't think they're great by any means, but dude, they've got like this Xander Berg cat that played for Bodo Glimt, who's been fucking not only balling in their league, but also in the Champions League and Europa. I watched him destroy Spurs midfield.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're pretty familiar with that. Huh?
Yeah, dude. I think there's some cats on this team that can perform at a higher level, and any time he comes to international, dude, shit changes. So
Yeah, totally.
I've got them. And then again, Senegal's good. Like
They are. Yeah.
they whatever comments we made as sweeping past them in a friendly, like that was a way bigger deal for the United States fans because they were like trusted them to be solid. So I think this is an interesting group for sure.
Yeah. Group J, I feel like we don't need to spend really any time on Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. Argentina and Algeria feel like they're pretty
Yeah.
locked to go through there.
Austria's that European team that plays a good low block, but it's just limp dick up front. So
Yeah, in Jordan, probably not much going on there. But Argentina, Messi's last
yeah.
dance, be a lot of storylines there. Last dance for Cristiano Ronaldo in Group K as well. Portugal, Congo, Uzbekistan, and Colombia. Portugal are my favorites to win the whole thing. That is who I have as my tournament winners. And, well, let me say this. It's with the caveat of if they bring Ronaldo off the bench. I think, and that, that is not me being a hater. I just think that
There's
he's in
so
this
much worse with him.
he's in this very weird ego. I mean, not that his whole career hasn't been this way, but he's in this very weird egocentric ego trip part of his career where he wants to make it all about himself, and it makes the rest of the team worse. I mean, we watched 2 friendlies with it, or I guess 1 friendly and the next one's tomorrow, but he's wide open guys in the box, and it's just a simple pass for a tap in, and he's choosing to shoot through 3 guys. It's just like not a good look. You have Bruno Fernandes, the best player in the Premier League, standing over the ball for a free kick, and he gets waved off so Ronaldo can blast the ball 30 yards over the goal. It's a bad look. So I think if and I think the other thing that's working against Portugal is the fact that they have Roberto Martinez as their manager. I think Roberto Martinez is a serial loser. I just think that he wasted Belgium. He wasted Belgium's golden generation, like absolutely wasted it. And so like that doesn't really give me a whole lot of confidence. But I think when you look at the squad in the majority of the positions that they have, they're incredibly deep. They're starting 11. I would put against anyone. They just have a lot of guys. So I
mean,
can't wait
top
to
to
watch
bottom,
that.
bro. Remove Ronaldo from this. Like, Tejas Nunez, Ruben Diaz, bro. Goncalo Ignacio, João Cancelo, Nuno Mendes. That
João
guy
Felix,
balls.
João Felix had his best season of his career, and yes, it was in Saudi, but like he
Yeah.
balled. He put up some numbers, so I think he's going to come in confident. He's a great player. Bruno's going to do Bruno things. I'm very curious to see what the lineup will be and how they're going to fit in João Neves, Bruno Fernandes, Bernard.
João Neves.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting. Vitinha.
Pedro Neto is going to be ready to beat someone on the wing and then fire across into the side netting. That's always on the table.
I'm very curious. Group L, the final group here, we have England, Croatia, Ghana, and Panama. I'm curious your thoughts on this England team. Obviously, Thomas Tuchel's at the reign, and Tuchel is a notorious tournament winner, but by no means is it the most attractive style of football in the world. And we saw that through a couple friendlies already, and like the World Cup qualifiers. I don't think they scored more than 2 goals in a game that has been underneath his tenure. They're a tough watch.
They're going to top the group. They're going to make a run. They're just not the team to watch by any means. I saw videos all week of people interviewing English fans on the street. Who's going to win the Golden Boot? Who's going to win the Bolt? It's obviously going to be Harry Kane. I think Harry Kane has the clear capacity to win the Golden Boot, but it's not going to be Harry Kane when you're scoring 1, maybe 2 goals a game.
That's the problem.
It's like, I'm not going to talk shit because they're going to do well. I'm confident they'll do well because they were so shaky in the Euro and they were so shaky in the World Cup previous. And they just always find a way because the talent's there. They're an unbelievable team. No one's going to be, the English fans are going to be pissed about the performances.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like we just know how that goes, but they're going to do great. They top the group.
I also think that Tuchel kind of made a big statement with some of his inclusions and exclusions from this list.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Like leaving some pretty big names at home in all positions. So I think he has a lot riding on this as well.
And you might have said it, I don't remember who said it, but it felt that the starting 11 and the first guys off the bench were locked in, and everybody else that was either snubbed or picked over them was for a direct positional cover. And it was purely based on who's going to be able to play the best underneath when we need them, not necessarily as a spark like a Phil Foden or a Ollie Watkins. Like those things who you do shoe-ins for the most part, they weren't going to be playing. So he needed the next best that was going to be solid. Like it's super interesting. I think a lot of people were confused and upset by that roster choice. So
I think even the lineups are going to confuse and upset more people. I don't know if we're going to be seeing some of the big stars starting in the way that they think. And Tuchel's one of those guys that it's like his way or the highway. And that's what's made him so successful. And it's also what's led to his downfall at every club he's ever been at.
We've got one guy in the Mecca of Banter group chat that is English, and this is about when he comes alive. So we'll get good insight. We'll get his true feelings on this, and we can report back.
Yeah, can't wait to hear it. Now, Hoov, we don't have time tonight to go through all of these awards, but I'm curious. I already said my Portugal shout for my winners. Who do you think is going to raise the cup at the end of the summer?
It's hard not to pick Spain. Like I don't think France, I think, is maybe the best team talent and quality wise at the tournament, closely followed by Spain and Portugal. I think they will have issues with the dictator up top and the guy who tends to have issues follow him around. Kylian Mbappe, as talented as he might be. It's not the direct situation that Portugal has with Ronaldo, but it'll be interesting because that team is so talented that he could not play, and I think they'd have a really good run at it. So I think Spain, technically, all around the pitch, individual player, subs off the bench, there's too much talent, and they play beautiful football, and I think they're my favorites. But Portugal and France, close seconds, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And do you think that there's going to be a flop? Or I guess there's always a flop, but who do you think is the team that will flop?
That's a tough one. Just sifting here. Belgium's always got a flop in them, to be honest, dude. But
Dude,
it's the end of the golden era.
100%.
Jeremy Doku.
Yeah, that's it.
Well,
like
those guys all used to be in their prime. We've got an older KDB who will ball. Not super concerned about him, but Lukaku and some of those cats, it's just not the same. So
yeah, I mean, for me, it's hard to say.
Germany could flop too. For real.
I think that's my choice. Germany is going to be my flop.
I like that.
For me, I just don't think Belgium's going to go far, and I don't think that's a flop. I just don't think they're very good. I don't think that they have a very good team.
Right.
So for me, they're not a flop. I just don't think that they're going to go far because they're not good. But I think Germany has all of the tools to be a great team. I just don't think they'll get it done. I wasn't incredibly convinced against the United States, but I think that they're going to be my flop, Germany. And then the dark horse, you alluded to a couple of teams that you feel like might make a sneaky run, but who do you have as your dark horse?
I don't even know if is it the hipster pick to go Norway? Is it the stupid, dumb idiot American take to go Norway? I have that doing well, objectively well. I think a quarterfinal run for them is not nearly out of the question. Favorable matchups that would need to follow for the most part, but I think they're deeper and a little bit better than most people give them credit for. They did great qualifying. And again, Erling Haaland's their striker. So
yeah, just that guy.
At some point, dude, you can't rule him out. He's going to bag. That's my...
Yeah. I'm torn between Ivory Coast and Turkey. I think that those two teams are just going to be awesome. I think they're going to be fun to watch. And Turkey, for me, has a couple of stars, but then their whole team is just hardworking and solid. I think that that's going to be hard to ignore. And then I think Ivory Coast... I don't think that they're going to win the whole thing, but I think that they might be one of the most fun teams to watch. Every time I watch them play, they're electric. They take guys on. They play with a lot of freedom and flair. Man, I don't want to put this out into the ether, but I'm worried about this Brazil team, bro. I'm worried about I don't know.
They haven't come up once in our winners or
funny?
They haven't come up once.
And what's interesting, bro, is obviously the world-class players in most of those positions, but their defense is not super solid. And then their midfield isn't even it's not intimidating to me. And then the big thing is their bench option. I'll put the 11 up against any other 11 as a really solid one, but their bench is not strong. It is a not strong Brazil team. And I worry just about their performance. And again, like I said at the top of the podcast, I just want Neymar to do it one more time. I want to see like one moment of brilliance. I still think about that goal that he scored against Croatia in extra time at the last World Cup, even though they ultimately ended up losing that game. Like for me, like I feel like that was such a big moment for him and for the country. So I'm curious, like, and we'll end here. But is there anyone that you're kind of like looking at as like an early favorite for like player of the tournament?
Player of the tournament. If England does well, it's Harry Kane. If they
Think
don't,
so?
I think it's if they don't, I think it's a midfielder.
Yeah, a certain
And
Portuguese midfielder.
I'm nervous.
I was going to say
Dude,
Bruno.
you're gonna say Bruno do that too. They got
Dude,
two.
yeah, like it's funny. Like obviously Bruno broke the assist record in the Premier League this year, and so all the United fans are like, "What's the assist record of the World Cup?" Which is 6. So we'll see if Bruno can do that. But I don't know. Like I think that Portugal team, if they are going to win, it's just going to be powered by that midfield of João Neves,
Yeah,
Vitinha, and Bruno.
yeah.
Like I just
It's the best midfield in the tournament.
well, it's kind of funny, like, obviously, like, there's discourse all the time, but people are like, best midfield 3 in the world, and still there's going to be Roberto Martinez is going to stick Bernardo Silva in there somewhere to like, break up that midfield 3. So I don't know how that's going to work. Obviously, Bernardo Silva is an incredible player, but maybe he'll play one of the wing positions. Maybe he'll play right back. I don't know, bro. I have no idea. Diego Dalot coming right back. I'm not sure.
Forget he's Portuguese. He doesn't
Dude,
act
yeah, crazy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say thank you for listening. Our first episode of the World Cup coverage for 2026. If you're a new listener, if you're a new follower, I just want to remind you, go ahead and subscribe to our channels, not only where you get your podcasts, but on our YouTube. Hit us up on social media, Mecca of Banter on all platforms. We're so happy you're here, and we'll keep tapping in all throughout the World Cup.
Yeah, man.
Cheers.
There's no better time. It's like Christmas. Christmas and summer. Cheers, lad.
All right, bro. Cheers.
Yeah.